Okay, guys, we are back for round two. So
I think one of the last things we left off with were color options. You were talking about, like, it's nice to have extra options. Yeah, for me, it's always going to be that fashion thing. Like every season brings that new one color option. So you still have gold, silver, and pink. It's not rose gold because it's not coppery. It's just metallic pink. But the new color is this new high gloss jet black iPhone, which should be pretty snazzy looking, I think.
Yeah. They talked about a couple other things. They talked about, that now you've got stereo speakers on the iPhone, which is a plus. They're still not forward facing, but you should get better sound. Now, of course, my big gripe will come from the fact that they have eliminated the headphone jack. And not that they eliminated it, but they sat down there and gave me the worst excuse possible to eliminate the headphone jack.
Courage.
Yes, courage. That was just
courage.
Sorry. It was
couldn't
stupid.
Do.
It was absolutely
except for Motorola.
Stupid. Yeah,
Motorola also has courage.
And then they lost their courage and brought it back in the Moto Z Play. I mean, come on, let's just be factual here. Yeah. You wanted to move it because you want to sell headphones, a specific thing. I'll put it this way. For anyone who's looking to buy an iPhone 7 and Apple says they tell you that new the AirPod, but its new W1 chipset is this revolution. It's still Bluetooth, by the way. It's not Wi-Fi chipset or proprietary Wi-Fi. It is Bluetooth. So it does nothing else that's crazy or different.
Well, and we're seeing that solution from a number of companies. Jabra has a pair out that also have a magnetic induction communication between them. We have a video up on Pocketnow checking out those new Jabras. I think Sony is also have an experimental set that are going to be doing something similar. There are a couple other companies that are working on similar solutions. I think one of the things that bothers me the most about AirPods is that they are the same ear canal design that the EarPods are, which I'll be curious to see how well those fit. Because and me personally, and this is always going to be the highly subjective part about testing EarPods, are they don't create a very good seal in my ear. And so the wireless aspect is cool, but there are fidelity and volume issues, passive noise reduction issues on that kind of design, especially when they're sort of hanging in the earlobe and you don't have any kind of cable to cinch or twist or to try and seat them any better. So again, there's a lot of, I was really disappointed in that announcement because there's so much cool tech in these AirPods for the design of them to be so not audiophile standard. I want something that goes in the ear canal, not something that sort of rests outside.
No, it's downright terrible. I mean, Samsung has a better offering than the Icon X. Okay, there's so many other companies that doing that.
I was saying like Jabra also showed like a fitness version that like kind of piggybacks on Samsung's idea, but and then also to have these sensors and not have heart rate info.
Yeah, it's terrible. And the fact that you have Beats and then you show me Beats offering also looked terrible, by the way. It was rehashes of the same thing they had. This, on that aspect, I was like, okay, look, Apple, I'm sorry. You've had Beats. Beats has not released anything new for a year. You should have just said, and now here come the Air Beats or whatever you want to call it, right? But it's designed by Beats. It's got this flashiness to it that you go, wow, that's really cool. Like you said, the AirPods, the regular pods, I'd never use them because they would literally fall out. They call them the most popular headphones on the planet just because people have them. People throw those things away. They're crap.
Yeah,
they're absolutely crap. I sat down and if you have regular headphones, use your headphones, use the adapter. The iPhone will not give you better audio through Lightning because there's no built-in DAC of any kind that we should care about. I'm sure there's an audio processor.
No, I'd imagine that it'll still be similar to the audio DAC that's currently. I mean, because that's all chipset based. So I think the iPhone 6s actually has a reasonably good amp DAC combo. I would seat it just behind HTC and LG. So as long as it's not overly hamstrung by going out over lightning pins, then I think we'll be fine. It's a bummer because Brad, what's his name? And my buddy Brad on Twitter was like, new for this iPhone is apparently a whole ecosystem of little gadgets and accessories that you're sure to lose a week after you buy your iPhone.
Yeah.
And that is kind of one of the bummers about this strategy with sort of all these little pieces.
No, that's very true, and I think that's where it becomes annoying for the user there. For me, this iPhone, I kind of like it and I don't. This is a little better than last year, surprisingly, even though I sound like I'm spewing a lot of hate. I really like the camera improvements. I want to see how good they are, how they compare to the Galaxy Note, and I'm surprised that they didn't actually mention any burning fires or anything like that with Samsung. So it means that they know that they themselves have been through stuff like that. They're like, let's just keep quiet and just move on. So which is cool. I like that fact about that. The other thing I wanted to mention with the iPhone itself is the fact that, you know, they mentioned, which you brought up, they mentioned gaming, like console-like gaming with the iPhone.
Well, I mean, because you can guarantee even higher quality gaming on an iPhone, right? Because like the 7 Plus, you're gaming in 1080p, which consoles still have difficulty gaming in 1080p. So
well, except you have
obviously better.
Except you have the new PS Pro 4. You know, then it's definitely
I'm being completely facetious. It's just because it's 1080p gaming doesn't mean that it's rendering a higher quality video.
Of course, definitely not. So I mean, I'm glad, yes, they're improving that aspect. And, you know, the one benefit, of course, is we're getting Mario coming this December. But that's pretty much it. And, you know, in terms of what you get with the iPhone, in terms of what's new, what's different, there's not much. You've got new colors, you've got road resistance, and then you've got the
I don't know. So like new colors, water resistance, stereo speakers, the dual camera sensor, and that we're finally in the year 2016 as an appeal to common decency and reason that the flagship iPhone will no longer start at 16 gigabytes of storage.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
I mean, like, they were way too late to that party, but I do have to say, like, kudos to Apple for finally getting there on a phone which won't let you expand storage through micro SD card.
Oh, no, I definitely agree. And take note, guys, I will have a video later on today about the 5 things copied from Android from the iPhone. And one of that is also what we just talked about here, the fact that a flagship device is now moving away from that 16 and 30, 16 and 64, right? It's now 32, 128, and 256. Am I correct with those numbers?
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, those are right in line with like some of the ways that we would talk about like Android storage. Now that Android phones are now sort of regularly starting at 64 gigabytes of storage for your top tier flagship devices, the most expensive handsets out there. And and the OnePlus 3, but the OnePlus 3 can't expand, but the Axon 7 can. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But you know, when you start throwing in memory cards and stuff, if you want, now you can climb up to what the iPhone 7 Plus at 256 is probably going to be $1,000 phone.
Okay, so let me get you correct.
Is that what it's going to be?
I'm looking at the pricing right now. I have to put my zip code and all that fun jazz in here. I don't know why it's telling me to put my zip code, but you can either pick up a 128 or 256 of the iPhone 7, just the 7. It's priced for the 128, it's $749. I'll go back into like 256 is $849 for the iPhone 7.
But the 7 Plus is $100 more, right?
It's $100 more for the 7 Plus. But I just want to go back to confirm correctly because
the 256 gigabyte iPhone 7 Plus is right in the ballpark of like a Note 7.
969 and and then it's $100 less. So 128 is $869 and 32 gigabytes is $769. Surprised the 7 gigabyte, the regular iPhone 7 does not have a 32 gigabyte version. It's just 128 or 256.
Well, I think isn't that just for the piano black though?
You know, that's probably what it was. I just picked the piano black itself.
Yeah, I think the normal colors will start at 32, and then the specialty black colors you have to step up to the middle storage.
Okay, let's go to the famous pink rose gold 32. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that you can pre-order it starting Friday, and then it's available on September 16th. I think the main thing is to see how well the iPhone camera moves up this year to match what you have with Android devices like the Galaxy Notes, the LG V20 itself that's available now. I am very excited and unexcited about that device because I will not be doing a review, but that's a whole different story entirely. But it'd be nice to see how well it compares with all those devices as it hits the market, because I think this is where iPhone users. Now, they talked about wide gambit range, but not HDR. So it's almost like they were talking about HDR in a sense and not trying to get there. I wasn't too sure what they were. I know they were talking about cinema scale.
Yeah, they
in
were
terms of
throwing terms
coloring.
around really loosely when describing the display, because I think at one point, and someone correct us if I'm wrong here, at one point they
Mhm.
did mention something like an HDR capable screen or something like that.
No, they mentioned wide gambit in terms of screen,
Oh,
but
no,
not
no, so,
HD.
like, when they were actually
Did
going through
they?
the bullet points, but there was, like, one sentence from the gentleman presenting, I can't remember the name of the guy who was presenting,
Uh-huh.
where he tossed out, I mean, it was so loose, like, you if you weren't, like, really paying attention, which obviously I wasn't, it was easy to miss, where there was some mention made of HDR, like, it was something like HDR capable or HDR something, but he didn't say it was an HDR grade screen or something like that, so I'll
Yeah,
be curious
no.
to see what wide gamut really means once we start playing with one.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that means in general. So it could be a whole variety of things, but the wide gambit to me sounds like a cop out for not getting HDR on the devices or trying to find a way around it
Well,
in
and
some form or fashion.
to be perfectly fair, I don't know that I'd really be so
Care for
upset
it.
about that as a concession, just because we know Apple. Apple will give us truly HDR compliant screens when they have some kind of inroad on a licensing or a production deal so that they can have exclusive HDR content. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
once iTunes has like sort of a lock on something like that, then of course all of their products will come out with ways to engage with that content. But until then, it's going to be like 360-degree video where the main practitioners of watching that content will be watching content produced by people that are directly delivering that through mobile devices.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, shoot, yeah, the screen display. They didn't talk about the display, which means the display is staying the same. They didn't actually go into a lot of details. And if I'm not mistaken, so the 4.7-inch iPhone, is that a 1080 or still 720p display? Because I
No,
can't
it's a seven. Well, it's Retina, so
seven. Yes.
it's a strange variant of the former, division of the former half VGA. So it's a 750,
So it's a
not a
750 display.
720p.
The
Yeah,
5.5-inch is a 1080p display.
correct.
And they did say it's the best display ever made. I would just give a correction. That display goes all the way to the Galaxy Note 7, which is still burning, by the way.
Uh, well, I don't know that they ever said it was the best
Yeah,
display ever. I think they said it was
they
the
did
best
say
display
that.
on an iPhone
No,
ever.
no, no. It was the said ever.
Because this is the best iPhone that's ever been made.
No, no.
Really,
He
there's
said
no
ever.
other
There was no
point in comparing to
qualification.
other devices because iPhone.
No, no. He said ever. He actually said no, no. He said best display on a smartphone. That was the exact word. So, but I think in general, we'll see how it pairs out. Um, I'm not sure how availability will fit with the iPhone. I don't know what do you think is the general consensus? Because our chat is mostly Android-based users, so a lot of people are talking about pricing and size. But do you think a lot of people are going to pick up this new iPhone?
Well,
Maybe
first of all,
maybe from iPhone users, and also from an Android standpoint.
So I think this is going to prove to be one of the more successful years for iPhone, just because I think consumers are getting a little burnt out on the number year and the letter year. So when we have the S year, I think we're going to see those sales start cooling even more in favor of people waiting out for the numbered years, which have more obvious differences for between the two different models of phones, more obvious visual differences, I should say. So that I think this phone is actually going to do really well. And in a lot of the Twitter chat that I was going, obviously most of my field is sort of more Android and Windows fans too. There were a lot of moments of like, okay, well, cool, props to Apple for finally catching up on that. Or I'm excited to see what this new camera might bring and how it might compare to some of these other solutions that we've already been playing with. So there was a lot of making fun of Apple. Oh no, little baby girl. There was a lot of making fun of Apple for their constant, this is the best on an iPhone we've ever done. This is the best iPhone we've ever made. The best iPhone just got better. Like Apple would ever make a phone that was worse than the year that they released last year. So again, a lot of mixed reactions, but ultimately, like I think we're all kind of in that spirit of wanting good competition. When we have good competition, then we get better products. And we've had a lot of news regarding these smartphones. I just got my Note 7, and I'm afraid to power it up because it's just a ticking time bomb waiting to destroy my household
there is a
and harm
way
my
to check
family.
if it's the right
The right battery. I'll
brand
follow up
new,
with you after the show, but you know, just like you were saying, you probably won't be giving it a review. The LG V20 is already shaping up to be maybe my favorite phone of the year. So the end of 2016, we actually have some. Oh, and we're still waiting out what the new Google Nexus Pixel phones are going to do.
Yeah.
So the iPhone is going to be in very competitive company once they're finally out on the market, actually selling to consumers.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree. I think you know what Apple has brought to the table is at least moving up on a competitive standpoint to match, you know, Google, you know, and the rest of the Android field altogether. So we'll see how that actually pairs up as the iPhone gets released. But I think for an iPhone user, yes, it definitely makes a lot more sense to upgrade this year just for water resistance alone.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Because
lifestyle features like that matter. And
yeah.
and again, we can still hammer Apple for having been so late to the party, but now that they're finally here, it's something that I really want to celebrate. I hate it that this market still seems to be driven by an Apple announcement, but I mean, we recently did I'm going to be posting a video on Pocket now as sort of a rebuttal to Jaime's review of the Galaxy S7 Active. We took it out to a water park and we kind of torture tested it just to see how far we could push these things. And there was still very little recognition of the people around us at this water park. Like, we kept getting people asking us why we were taking our phones in the water, and like is that a special case that's on the phone that allows you to do that? So there's still a lot of work to do in sort of informing the buying public what options and what capabilities you have if you want to do something like you want a more rugged phone. People don't really know that these things exist outside of like, well, is it a Galaxy or is it an iPhone? And that's kind of where they stop the discussion a lot of times. So with Apple now joining the discussion, hopefully this means that, you know, other manufacturers are going to step up their game in delivering more life-proof devices.
Yeah. I mean, they are the third company, I believe, in terms of just regular mainstream smartphones that cover water resistance. Sony, Samsung, and then Apple. I don't think
well, I mean, a number of other manufacturers have played with it, but I mean, you start getting into more specialty markets, obviously.
Exactly.
Like a Kyocera, you know, like that's a very popular phone brand at like a Boost Mobile, but it doesn't have the consumer mind awareness that a company like Samsung or even an HTC or an LG might have.
Yeah, true. Now, the question before we round up, I wanted to ask you is, which iPhone do you think, now, if size is not an issue, which iPhone would you suggest someone to pick up? Should they pick up the 7 or should they pick up the 7 Plus because it now has the dual camera and should give you also better battery life because it's got a bigger battery?
Yeah, so I mean, you guys know I'm actually not the biggest fan of phablets. It's funny considering that my favorite phone of last year was maybe the biggest phone released in the LG V10.
Yeah.
I still don't like Apple's ergonomic situation on the Plus, but I think that probably will be the better buy. The battery alone, I think, is really what would motivate me for this to be the device you live your life out of. You want the ability to run that battery, to run that phone for as long as you can, and then hopefully that, you know, the second camera sensor system proves to not be a crazy gimmick. If it actually proves to be functional and providing benefit, then you'll feel like it's silly to not have it when you go back to your regular iPhone, to the regular sized iPhone 7.
True. I just want to get your opinion just because I am only getting one device, so I have to pick and choose.
Well, because we're going to be splitting up coverage on Pocketnow, and I actually might fight for the phablet this go around. Normally, I would try and get the smaller one.
Yeah. So I'll be doing most likely the Plus and skipping the 7 just because, again, you're getting the same camera with more features than the Plus, and you're getting a battery life that should rival competitors on the Android market space. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. I know a lot of people are commenting. Sorry, we can't take too many questions. We'll definitely come back and answer the questions if you have any. But a lot of people are talking about how the iPhone is slippery, and some people say, you know, F Tim Cook, things like that, which, you know, we shouldn't talk about. But interesting end of the year as we have the V20, the iPhone 7, as well as also the Pixel and even the Note 7 once it comes back into play. I think Samsung will look at this and say, okay, we have an opportunity to come back, rebrand in terms of a marketing sense, and add accessories for people, and then, you know, this might be a good idea.
Anytime a company makes a sort of a public, you know, misstep like this, it's an opportunity for them to engage in a conversation with their customers and their
Yeah.
fans. So
Yeah.
it's every opportunity for Samsung to rise to the occasion and get this handled correctly. It's just it's very precious timing for them, because as people are thinking about swapping out their Note 7s, there are a lot of options for them to consider in replacing that phone.
Just one question I think I'm going to answer. Somebody asks, are headphones included in the iPhone? I believe, yes, there would be Lightning headphones and
yes,
Lightning
they're
AirPods.
going to have Lightning connector ear pods, and they will include the Lightning connector to 3.5 millimeter headphone jack in the box. So I again, like, normally Apple would make you pay $30 for that adapter out of the box. So I'm happy to see that they're not trying to gouge consumers there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Again, we'll answer the questions after the fact. So definitely leave your questions and comments in the comment section of this video. We do have to kind of run at this point. But I want to thank Mr. Juan Bagnell for joining us. As always, you can catch him on Pocketnow. And his videos are up there, and also his Twitter handle is Some Gadget Guy. And you can also see him this weekend on the Weekly. He will be back. We had 2 replacements for him last weekend, but he's back again with us this week. And you can also follow us at on our YouTube channel is Booredatwork, and our Twitter handles also Booredatwork. Sorry, no lower thirds, because Hangouts was on the fritz. I didn't want to touch anything on the air. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.